Alright, in this video I'm gonna make this logo slash emblem design inside of Inkscape, and we're gonna make every single element of this logo from scratch. So every single thing, the text, the emblem, the background, all of that I'm gonna make from scratch in Inkscape. This is gonna be a very elaborate tutorial and a very long one. And with that said, I'm just gonna make a new document and begin. I have my color palette set up and ready, and I'm just gonna press T to get the text tool. Select right there, type my text and scale it up while holding Control and Shift. I'll press T again. Let's change the font to the font I want. The font I'm looking for is this one. It's called Rigidity Demo, and that's the font right there. So go ahead and get that font. It's not a free font, but anyways, it's a good font. It's gonna work for us. I'll press Ctrl D and duplicate this text object, and we'll change the text for this one. And then I want to just go ahead and place it right here, but we want to make some changes to both of these text objects. So first thing I want to do is just select it and do a path and object to path. And then with that selected, I want to come back over to path and click on split path. From there, I just want to move this object to the right. And then I want to press N to get the nodes tool, click right there, select both of these nodes and delete them. And I want to make this smoother, of course. Also delete these nodes. I'll select these nodes and delete them to give it a smoother look. Maybe we can delete that, and that looks way better. So next what I want to do is I want to make this so that we want this to be a little bit more like that. And that looks pretty good. That's pretty much perfect. And now I'll move this, place it right here. That's pretty much the overall layout for the text that I want. Yep, right about there looks pretty good. So next what I want to do is I want to begin styling the text. So what I want to do first is make sure that I unionize these two objects. So with them both selected, or with all of this selected, I'll come over to path, click on union, and then this is already a unionized object. So from here I want to apply a linear gradient, and I want to be able to see my color palette, so just move it in right about here, and then from there let's just begin. And so just to begin, I'm going to add like 6 or 7 stops, and then we'll see if we need to add any more stops. So let's just take the transparency of all of them and raise it up to 100. I'll press G to get the gradient tool I want to make. Take the stop, place it right about here, and then take the stop and hold Control on the keyboard, lock it onto the vertical axis, and then place it somewhere there. I want to take this one and I'm going to move it a little bit higher up. Maybe actually I want to place it like right here. Hope you guys can see that. I'm going to select this node right here on the stop, press D to get the dropper, and let's give it this color right here. I'll press G again, select this stop, press D to get the dropper, click right there, give it that color, and I'll press G again. In this stop, I'm going to give this one this brown color. Again, press G and click on this stop, move it up to about that much. Select that, press D and give it the same brown color this time. So, and then this one we want to give that this color right here, and then press G one more time and give this last stop this brighter color again. And so now we just need to simply move these around and adjust these where they will make sense. So I like this here. I'm going to make this a little bit lower, and I want to take this end stop and move it up a little bit like this. Let's readjust that. And something like that looks pretty good. Yeah, that will do the job, I think. And then you want to do the same thing for the bottom text. So select that and apply a linear gradient. and then from the drop down you want to select the same gradient like that. Press G and let's just align it correctly. So once that is done, I'm going to select both of these objects and then Ctrl D, duplicate them, and then I want to apply an offset to both of these objects. So again, I'm going to select this object, and then I'll come over to the path effects menu. If you don't have it, come over to path, click on path effects, and that will open that up. And then from the drop down, click on offset, and let's apply an offset to this. And I'm going to, for just for now, I'm going to change the color to red and lower that to the bottom, just so I can see how thick the offset is. So let's just go ahead and give that an offset of about, I think right about there should do the job, but I'm gonna go for like 3.5, but I want to add some thickness at least, so let's go to 4. Yeah, I think that looks pretty good. And then I want to do the same thing for this one, so let's give that a red color, and let's lower it to the bottom. Yep. I want to select the red object and then come over to the, and actually I want to do a path, object to path, because we didn't convert that into a path, into a path. So with that selected, again we're just going to apply the same offset with a value of 4, just like that. And then from there what we can do is do a path and object to path, and then do the same thing for this other object, path and object to path. And then with this red object selected, I'll come over to the fill and stroke menu, and on the fill tab let's apply a linear gradient, and then from the drop down I want to select the same gradient for the other text object. What I'll do is I'll press G and I'll give it the opposite direction. So I'll take this top and place it at the bottom, and I'll take this circular node and I'll place it up top, and I'll hold Control and just move it and place it where I feel it produces the most shine. So I think that is right about there. I think right about there looks pretty good. What I want to do though is I just want to take this darker spot and move it down like this, and that looks pretty nice. The same thing I want to do for the other red object, so I just click on this text effect or this text and hold Alt, select the red object, and then apply the linear gradient. So just select this one, press G, and I'll just take this top, place it at the bottom, take this top, place it right here, and then we just want to move it so that it gives us the most shine. We can also adjust this, so let's just go ahead and do that. I think that looks pretty good. Yeah, I think that looks pretty good. Next, what I'll do is I'll select both of these top objects, so the offset as well as the main text effect, and I'll press Ctrl D and duplicate them, and then do a path in union, and I'll give that a red color. And I want to do the same thing for the smaller one, so select the smaller text, Ctrl D, and then do a path in union, and let's give that the same color. And then I will select both the pink objects, and I want to lower them all the way to the bottom and duplicate them, and just lower them using the keyboard arrow keys, and then lower those all the way to the bottom. And let's just lower them a little bit more. I'm going to create a 3D extrusion using both of those. So somewhere there should do the job. And then let's click on this top object, hold Alt, click again to select the bottom object, and then one more time select the pink object, and then hold Shift, select this other one with them both selected, come over to extensions, generate from path, and extrude, and then click on live preview, and make sure you select follow curves from the drop down. Now sometimes what's going to happen is that extrusion is not going to work, so there's two things you can do to fix this. You can either just simply select everything and just scale it down a little bit, right, and that can work sometimes. So let's try again. And now it works. So what we can do is just simply click apply and close that. And if it doesn't work that way, what you can do is you can just make the 3D part less thick. That can also work. So let's click again and select both the objects, and then extensions, generate from path, extrude, live preview, and it works. So nice. Apply and close. And then I want to select the 3D part. You know you've selected the 3D object if it says group of many objects. So in my case 113, but in your case it's going to be a lot of objects grouped together. So Ctrl Shift and G and group them. Come over to path, click on union, and then do the same thing right here. Ctrl Shift and G, path and union, and then let's remove the stroke for both of these, and let's increase the transparency to 100 to get this black extrusion like that. So that's pretty good. What I want to do now is fix some of these 3D areas. So like this EB right here and the E, this E right here, in this area needs to be fixed. So let's turn snapping off on, and then press B, and let's just I'm actually going to turn this off just for a second to do this, and I'm going to turn it back on, and then you can do the same thing for this one. So snap right there, and then there, you create that shape right there. Do the same thing right here. What I'll do next is I hold shift, select all of these small black objects. In fact, actually I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to select both of these ones, and I'll select this one, and then do a path and union. And this way I can actually move this object right here independently. So before I do that, I'm going to select all of these, and then do a path and union. Now I can actually move this here if I want. So what I want to do with this one is I'll click on the black object, press D to get the dropper, give it that color. So just basically a dark brown color is good. And then from there, I guess we can do the same thing right here. So give it the same color. And I want to detail both of these text objects. So to do that, I'm going to simply press B, turn snapping off, and click right there. Right there, I'm just going to make some random shapes right here like this. We can even give them a different color just so we can see them, and just so you know, like this. And then just do the same thing right here on these 3D extruded parts. What I'll do next is I'll select all of these objects, and then do a path and union, hold shift. Actually, before I do that, I'm going to click on the 3D part, Control D, hold shift, click on this other object, and do a path and intersection. Let's lower them one step, and we missed this object, so we're just going to do that again. That's okay. Again, click on the 3D part, duplicate that, hold shift, and path and intersection. Let's lower that one step, and one more step, like this. And next, what I want to do is I'm going to apply a linear gradient to all of these. So I'll just select this one, and I'll give that a linear gradient. Actually, before I do this, I want to come over to path and click on break apart, and now all of these are separated. So these are all individual objects. Let's click on one of these and give that a linear gradient. And I want 4 stops, and I want to make sure the transparency is set to 100. So let's do that first. From there, I want to press G and set it up so that the middle 2 stops are like close together like this. And I want to select the outer stops, press D to get the dropper, and let's give it this dark color. Press G again, click on this other one, and give it the same dark color. And then press G and select the center stops, and I'll give them this color right here. And again, I'll press G one more time, and I'll give it the same color right here. That looks pretty good. And then I can just simply move these stops a little bit inside just so it looks like a little bit of a realistic reflection. From there, all I want to do is just simply apply the same gradient to all of these. So again, with the selected linear gradient from the drop down, we want to select this newest gradient right here. And basically we just want to repeat that process. And so with that done, our text effect is basically complete. And so we'll move on to the next part, which is going to be the emblem. So I'll just group this together, Control G, place it right here. And what I want to do is I'll click on the square or rectangle tool, hold Control and Shift, make a square like that. And then I'll press N to get the nodes tool. Let's make the corners a little bit rounded. Not even a little bit rounded, but quite rounded, like about that much. And then hold Control and rotate this by 45 degrees like this. And then come over to path, click on object to path. Let's turn this into a path. And let's just compress it a little bit like this. Let's add a stroke. Let's increase the stroke of this object to about like 70. And that might be too much, but that probably is good. Let's just go to 65. And I think that is pretty good. Yeah, I think 65 is good. Let's create a circle right now. Let's make a circle, a perfectly round circle, and let's remove its stroke. Stroke, and let's add a fill color. And then I want to turn off snapping for now. Hold Control and Shift, scale this down. Let's just place it right there. And we need the circle to be about that size. So actually I'm going to reduce the stroke. I'm going to make it 60. And I'm going to make the circle a little bit smaller as well. So let's just make it about that much. And then what I want to do is I'm going to move the circle out and place it here. I'll press N and select this object right here. And as you can see, I have these nodes right here that I've already created right here and right here. But in your case, you're not going to have these nodes. So what I'm going to do is I'll just delete these 2 nodes. And I'm going to delete this node as well. And I'll select all of these nodes. And actually I'm going to select all of these nodes. I'm going to select all the nodes right here. So just leave these 2 nodes. And I'll click right here to add a node right in the center like that. And then what I want to do is I'll select all of these nodes. Control C on the keyboard. Move my cursor here. Control V to paste that. and then with that selected path and split path. Then I want to take this, move it right here, and let's give that a different stroke color, raise it up to the top, and let's snap that. So let's just snap it right here, press N to get the nodes tool, click on this node, click on right here, break part, and then move it out, delete that node, and then click on this node and delete that as well. And then right here what I want to do is I want to snap the circle right on top of this node right here. So I'm just going to zoom in, press N. I want the circle right on top of this node, right on the center. So I'll just take the circle, move it right here, raise it up to the top, and it should say object midpoint to cusp node, like that. And then I'll duplicate that and just do the same thing on this side. So it needs to say object midpoint to cusp node, like that. And then I'll select both the black circles. Let's just give them a brighter color like the green, and then do a path and combine, and click on the red object, right click, copy that to the clipboard, click on the green object, and then come over to the path effects menu, and let's apply the interpolate subpaths path effect. Click right here to link to path in clipboard, and then you can see this interpolation steps are now following the path of the red object, which is what we want. So let's increase the number of steps. And you never want it to be like this. We always want a circle right here in the center, right, just like this. So we'll go with an odd number to get something like that. And then from there, what we can do is just do a path and object to path. To finalize that, Control D and duplicate that, and then flip that on the vertical axis, and then just snap it like that. That's good. Let's select both the green objects and do a path and union, and then click on the red object, delete that. And then from there, if I want, increase the stroke of the white object, and I guess I'll go with like 61. Maybe I can increase it to like 60, 64. It's pretty good. I think it's pretty good. Let's duplicate this white object. So Control D. Actually, before I do that, what I want to do is I'll select the white object, and I'll give that this blue fill color, or actually this dark blue fill color. And I'm almost thinking of reducing the darkness right here on this blue color. But before I do that, with this object selected, so this right here, with that selected, come over to path, click on stroke to path, and then press Ctrl Shift and G to ungroup the fill as well as the stroke. So these two are now separate objects, right? It's two separate paths. And so what I want to do is click on the white object and give that this color right here. Let's click on the circles and let's give that one this bright color right here. That looks pretty nice. Maybe I want to go with like this color. Actually I do want to go with this color right here. And then I want to finally click on this object right here, and I'll press Ctrl D and duplicate this. Let's give it this bright color right here. Let's lower it one step, and one more step, and then I'm going to give that an offset. So let's give that an offset. Okay, next what I want to do is I'll apply an inner shadow to the dark brown object and the blue object. So let's click on the dark brown object and then come over to filters, shadows and glows, drop shadow. From the drop down you want to select inner, horizontal and vertical offset. You want to keep this at 0 to begin, and blur radius doesn't really matter for now. Let's just click on live preview, and I like this. I'm just going to turn off live preview and then zoom in, and I'm going to zoom in like right here, and click on live preview again, That's pretty much perfect. And maybe I can just lower this, just decrease the vertical offset a bit. Actually no, I want to increase the vertical offset. So I want to increase the vertical offset to maybe like 1. And that's it. And then click on apply. And that's pretty good. And what we can do now is we can actually control the drop shadow using the blur radius right here. So because we applied a filter, we can control the inner shadow using the blur. So if I increase the blur, it increases the inner shadow like that. I'm going to press Ctrl Z to undo that. Let's do the same thing. So I'll come over to filters and shadows and glows and drop shadow. And again, same settings. So inner and both the vertical and horizontal offset. This time I want them at exactly 0. And then let's just click on live preview. Let's increase the blur radius a lot. Okay, so one more thing I want to do is make sure the blur color is fully at black. And let's just keep increasing the blur radius actually. That looks pretty good, I think. Let's just click on apply and close, and if you want we can still adjust this, right? So we can increase or decrease the blur, and that will increase or decrease the blur radius, so that's pretty good. Next one I want to do is I'll click on this circle, right, or this I'll click on this circle object and I'll press Ctrl D, give that a black fill color, lower that one step, and let's give that a blur. That looks pretty good. And I just want to lower this a little bit, lower this just like that. From there what we want to do is just make many copies of this object to just give it a lot of glow. So I'll press Ctrl D once and I'll blur this, and I'll press Ctrl D one more time, and I'm going to change the blend mode of this object so to a different blend mode. So to do that, come over to the fill and stroke menu, and then on the fill tab at the bottom from the blend mode you want to change this from normal to screen, and then this is Ctrl D one more time. And if you want we can just do that one more time, but I think this is pretty good. I think I'm just going to leave it at that. But I guess what I'll do is I'll Ctrl D and make one more copy, and I want to bring this copy here, change the blend mode back to normal, and reduce the blur. And then I want to do a path and break apart and zoom in right here, and just all I want to do is make some of these really bright. So I'll just basically take this object, place it right here, and now I can change the blend mode back to screen, and let's blur that a lot, and then Ctrl D one more time, blur that even more, and one more time, and blur that again a lot, maybe even like all the way to 100% blur. And I'll just give that one more extra duplicate just to make it stand out more. And again, you can just keep making copies of this until you feel like it's like sufficiently bright compared to the rest. I'll take this one and I'll just like place it right here or something. And let's just change the blend mode to screen. Blur that a lot. Duplicate that a few times and just adjust it. So something like this should do the job. One last thing I want to do is click on this object and then Ctrl D one more time. What I'm going to do is I'll change the blend mode to color. So what that does is brings the color back to this one right here, and kind of also reduces the shininess or the glow or the brightness of it, which is fine because this is plenty bright already. And it just brings the color back to this one. So that's basically what I'm looking for. And so with that, our emblem is basically done. I mean, there will be some final touches towards the end, but for now I think that this is pretty good. So I'll just simply select over all of this and I will Control G and group that together. So the text and the emblem looks something like this. For now I'm just going to take this and I'm just going to move these here. So for now what I'll do is I'll begin making the token. So just click right here on the circles tool. Let's hold Ctrl and Shift on the keyboard and make a circle like this. And then I want to press D to get the dropper tool and give it the same dark blue color. Blue. Ctrl D, duplicate that, and I'm going to give it this light orange color. Hold Ctrl and Shift, scale this down to about that much. And then Ctrl D one more time, give it this blue color again, and then scale it down. And then Ctrl D one more time, and let's give it this same orange color, scale that down. What I'll do next is I'll just select all of these inner circles, and I want to make them just a little bit bigger, like that. And let's click on the blue circle, the bigger circle. Press N to get the nodes tool. I want to select all of the nodes, so basically every single node. And before I do that, I'm just going to select all the objects and come out to path, click on object to path. And then I can simply select the blue object, press N to get the nodes tool, select all of these nodes and just add another node in the center. And I guess we can do that one more time. What I'll do now is I'll select all of these nodes. So these three nodes, I'm going to select these three nodes, Control C to copy them, move my cursor here, Control V, and then I want to do a path and split path. I want to make a rectangle, and let's just zoom in and let's make it so that the width of both of these objects is the same. So what we can just do is simply snap them right there, like that. Then if I want, I can just make sure that this is perfectly, snapped together like this on both sides. And then when I know that it is perfectly good, I can select them both and do a path and union. And let's just give it the same light orange color. And now what I want to do is raise it all the way to the top. And I want to snap it right there, right? So it simply just snaps right there. So it just snaps perfectly right there. Now if I did a path and intersection, this wouldn't give me the same kind of clean result. So that's the reason why I'm doing it this complicated way. Let's lower this one step like that, and that is pretty good. And all we have to do now is just make copies of it and fit it fit one right here. And so now what I'll do is select both of these objects and do a path, and I guess I'll just group them together. So Control G and then Control D, duplicate them, click again to get the rotation handles, hold Control and rotate them like that, then Control D one more time and then rotate them again like this, then lower them until they are below the circles. And this one is not correct, so I'll just rotate it by one step like this, and that is pretty much perfect. Okay, so now what I want to do is I want to apply 3D extrusion to this object. But before I do that, I'm going to ungroup this, and then I want to take these in center circles, these three smaller circles, and I want to separate these. So I'm just going to select these three circles, Control G, and I'm going to move these out here. And then I want to select all of these objects, Control Shift and G to ungroup them, and then do a path and union. Press Control D and duplicate them, hold Shift click on the blue object and do a path and difference. And then from there, I just want to select this object, hold shift, center them both on the vertical and horizontal axis. And what we just did there was just separate these two objects like this. So this just makes the 3D extrusion part a little bit easier. Let's select over all of it, Control G, and then let's apply the perspective path effect to this. So with this selected, come over to the path effects menu, let's apply the perspective envelope path effect, and then I'll press N to get the nodes tool. I'll move this node out, and I'll move this one lower or in like this. Something like this. And then from there I can just do a path and object to path, and I will finalize that. Control D, and let's make a 3D extrusion. So let's just move this a bit to there, and let's lower this to the bottom, and let's just place it right over here. I think is good. I think right about here should do the job. So I'm pretty happy with that. Let's make sure snapping is turned on, and then press B to get the Bezier pen. Let's just join the orange areas with the orange areas, and then I want to join the blue areas to just hide these corners, I guess. Let's make the opacity up to 100, and then I want to join this little bit of area as well. I want to give that a blue color. And so the 3D extrusion is done now, it's complete. I want to move the top object away, and I'll place it right there. I'll select all of these objects, Control G, and group them together, and I'll press Control D, duplicate that. And I want these to be darker to give this a realistic look. So I'll just change the blend mode on the fill tab. Again, one more time, we're going to change the blend mode to multiply, and that obviously doesn't look amazing. So let's just lower the opacity to like 30, 32, something like that. Let's bring this object back in and snap it into its place. So let's turn snapping off just for a second, so I can get it close to where it needs to be, and let's turn snapping on, and there you go. That looks pretty good, and that looks quite realistic. And now I can adjust the opacity again, so I can like make it darker if I want, and I can make it lighter. I think right about there looks pretty nice. So I'll just select over all of this, Control G, and that is our 3D extrusion finalized. What I'll do next is I'll apply the transform by 2 points path effect. So I'll come back over to the path effects menu and click on transform by 2 points, and then just press M to get the nodes tool. I'll take this node and just move it around just to see if I can make this better in any way, right? If I can stretch it or do whatever, right? No, it's not stretching right now because, you know, we need to turn this option right here, elastic option. What that does is allows me to stretch the object. Right? That is, if I feel like maybe I can make this better by stretching it or doing whatever. And I can also do that from right here. So I can increase the width like this. I think that something like that looks pretty good. I'll just do a path object to path. You don't have to do this step. That was optional. You don't have to necessarily do that. Let's create a copy of this. I'll need about 3 of these. So I'll place this one here, flip that on the horizontal axis. And then on this one, let's just click again to get the rotation and skewing handles. I'll skew this a little bit on the horizontal axis. And then I want to skew this just a little bit on the vertical axis. Like this. Right? And then one more copy, I'll just duplicate this one, flip that again on the horizontal axis. And you can skew this a little bit more. and skew this on the vertical axis, and there you go. So now we have three slightly different versions of the same thing, and then we're going to use this later on in the work. There is one more step I have to do though. I think I should have done that before. Okay, let's just go ahead and do that. So I'll make a circle. I should have done that before, but it's okay. I'll make a circle and place it right here, and I'll give this a white color. I'll give that a linear gradient. Press G and I'll move this top here, and I'll take this top and move it right about there somewhere. I want to turn snapping off for this. And then what I want to do is to change the blend mode of the white circle to overlay. And let's drop the opacity to something like this. That looks good. And then I want to click on this object, Control D, hold Shift, click on the circle, right click and set flip. And there you go, we have a little bit of reflection right there. You could also just use the normal blend mode here, right? And this works fine. This also works, but I just would rather do that. So anyways, that is that done. I can pretty much just group all of these. So Control G and group all of these, and then I can simply just keep these like right here. And we'll use these later, so I'll just scale these down. I'll place these right here, and I want to zoom right in and work on the next thing. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is the crown. Let's take the rectangle tool, make a rectangle. Let's raise the opacity, and then I want to make a polygon. So click on the polygons tool with 6 corners and polygon selected, hold Control and Shift, scale it up. Let's give that a different color, and I'll just place it like right here, something like this. We'll click on the white object, Control D, hold Shift, click on the black object, do a path and difference, and then press N to get the nodes. And I'll just get rid of all of these nodes, delete them. And then I want to click on the white object, turn snapping on, and let's just give it the same width as the polygon, and let's just reduce the height as well to somewhere there. And then I want to press B to get the Bezier pen and click right there, hold Control on the keyboard to lock it onto the horizontal axis and make a straight line like this. Let's give that a stroke, remove its fill color, and then I want to press N to get the nodes to select both of these nodes, add another node in the center like this, and then I want to select this node, hold Control, move it up, and then turn this node into a symmetric node like this. I'll hold this handle, hold Control on the horizontal axis. I'll give it a smooth curve like this. It looks pretty nice. Let's give that a fill color and remove its stroke. Okay, that's too much. Let's take the node and just lower it a little bit. I think that should do the job. I think this is too much still. Let's just make it thinner. It needs to be about that much. Move this up. And let's make it so it's the same width as the rectangle. So just do the same thing right here, snap it right there. And then I want to duplicate this, move it down, snap it there, flip that on the vertical axis, and then snap it right there. And then I want to duplicate it one more time, flip that on the vertical axis, join it like this, select both of these, do a path and union, And then I want to select this red object, hold shift, click on the white object, do a path in union. And then I want to select the black object. Press N to get the nodes tool. And I'm going to select both of these nodes. And you can see that I have these arrows next to the node. So if you click right here to turn on the transformation handles, you will get these arrows. I want you to click on the arrow, hold shift, and move both of these out like this. And then select over all of the nodes. Let's add another node right in the center like this. Select both of these nodes, move these down on the vertical axis. Oh no, I made a mistake. Let's select both of these nodes, try that again, hold shift, click on the handle, move it out like that. Let's select all the nodes, add another node in the center like this, and just select these two nodes. That's it. Hold Control, move this down. And then with them both selected, let's turn these into symmetric nodes, and then let's delete them. And there you go. Actually, I want to take all of these nodes and just raise them up a little bit. So like that much. I think that much should do the job. And then I think we are pretty much very close. I just want to style these in now. So let's just begin styling it. Click on the crown, the black object, press D, and let's give it, we're gonna give this a linear gradient. So let's just click on this red object and give it this brown color. Click on the crown and let's apply a linear gradient to that. Let's add a few more steps. And I want to raise the transparency all the way to 100 for all of them. Press G to get the gradient tool. Let's take this node, move it right here. Take this center node and place it right in the center, and then this node can pretty much be right here. And then I want to click on the end nodes, so the two nodes on the ends. I'll select that one and I'll give it this color. I'll press G and do the same thing and we'll give it that color. And then I'll select the next stop, this one, press D and I'll give it this color. I'll press G and I'll select this other stop and give that the same color. And I'll select the center stop and I'll give it the same brown color. Take this stop and I'll move it in like this. I'll take this and move that in. And I'll take the end stops and move those in as well. So holding Control, and let's just move it in like this. That looks pretty nice. And I want to do the same thing for this object. So I'll just apply the same gradient, come over to the fill and stroke menu. Let's apply gradient and then select the same gradient from the drop down. And it just is pretty good. It's pretty much perfect. Let's just move this in a little bit. Then do the same thing on this side. And I want to move these stops like right here. And I want to move this stop like right here. And that looks pretty good. And one more thing I want to do is I'll make a circle. I'll make a circle like this. And I will give that a radial gradient and with the same colors. So I'll just select the center stop, give that this bright color, and then select the end stop and I'll give that this brown color. And then I want to zoom in, press G. I want to take this center stop, place it like right here and do something like this. Let's scale it down a little bit, and this one can pretty much just go right here. somewhere there. I think should do the job. And then we just simply duplicate these, and then I can place one right here. Obviously I scale this down. And we'll just do one more. Just to make sure that both of these are in the same position, I want to select them both and then center them on the horizontal axis like that. Control G and hold shift to click on the crown, center them on the vertical axis like that. So now they're in the same exact position, uniform. We can also center this one. Let's just center that on the vertical axis, and that is centered, and that's good. One last thing I want to do is I'll apply a stroke to both of these objects. So I'll apply a stroke and I'll apply a linear gradient to that as well. So let's just give it a stroke. Let's give that a linear gradient, and I want to give it the same gradient as the fill color. And then I want to reduce the stroke width to a very small number. So like 4 in this case, maybe like 6. Even 6 seems too much to me, but I think this is fine. I think it looks okay. And then what I want to do is reverse the direction of the gradient. And if I can, I maybe want to adjust the gradient a little bit. So what I want to do is I'll take this, and I just want the bright areas to be right here, somewhere intersecting with the dark areas. And I'll do the same thing right here. So I'll just move this here, and then I can maybe do something for the center stop. We can actually move this all the way in. I don't know, something like this. And let's just do the same thing for the bottom's rectangle object. So again, let's give that a linear gradient, select the same gradient, and let's drop the stroke style to about 6. And that looks alright. And you can see now that the stroke is going outside of the fill color right here, which is not looking great. So let's just give this object, right, this brown object, a stroke color. So let's just give it the same color stroke. So this brown color. And let's drop the stroke width to 6. Okay, 6 seems too much. I actually want to give that a rounded corner, actually. A rounded joint, I mean, like this. And 6 works now, okay. So that's basically what I'm looking for. Okay, I feel like the stroke on these objects is too big. I'm actually going to drop this to 4. And I'm going to do the same thing right here. And I can drop the same stroke right here to 4. Okay, and that is good. Our crown is also done. Just select all of it, Control G, and then I can just place it right here for now. And so we're almost done with our design. We just need to do some final touches and do the background. But before we do that, I need to make the cards for this design. So let's just go ahead and do that. Click on the rectangle tool. Let's make this rectangle like this. Let's press N and make the corners rounded like that. Let's give that a 90% gray color and remove its, well, let's just change the stroke color to this bright yellow. And let's just increase the stroke style to like 8 or maybe like 10. Okay, that's pretty good. And then from there we just need to make a simple heart inside. Let's just try to make a heart real quick. So let's just click on the rectangle tool. Let's make a rectangle like this. I'll just bring it in right here. And then press N to get the nodes tool. Just make the corners rounded all the way. Let's rotate this. Like about that much. Duplicate that, flip that on the horizontal axis. And place it like right about here. Select them both, do a path in union. Press N to get the nodes tool. Let's just delete some of these nodes. So select all of these nodes, hold shift, select all of this, delete them. And I'll just make sure this node is a perfectly corner node like that. And with that, our heart is done. We can try to make it a little bit smoother. So I'll just select all of these nodes, add another node in the center, and then add one more set of nodes. So I'll just select both of these two nodes, so these two nodes, and we'll just delete them. And then if you want, we can also just delete all of these top nodes. So I guess I can delete all of these like center nodes right here. So let's get rid of that. I'm just going to keep it right here then. Let's center this on the vertical and horizontal axis. Let's give it a this maroon color. And let's just make a simple A for our card. So let's just change the font to Anton, and that looks pretty nice. Place it here. I'm actually going to stretch this a little bit. And again, make sure the corners are rounded. And then duplicate this. We can place one right here. Select them both. Control G. Let's center them on the vertical and horizontal axis like that. And then I can make sure this is also centered. And from there, I want to apply a linear gradient or a radial gradient to this one. So let's just do that. Let's apply a radial gradient. And I want to make the center stop this bright red. And then I want to make the end stop this dark red. Something like this. Let's take the center stop and move it about here. Maybe a little bit higher up. Like this. And I think that looks pretty good. I can now just group all of this together. Control D, duplicate it. Move this one here. And then what I want to change is this to K and this to K as well. One last step is to make a circle or a similar shape. Let's change the color to white. Raise the and let's give that a linear gradient. So just like before, we're going to apply a simple reflection to this. So let's place this here, and then we can just simply duplicate the card and hold shift, right click and set clip. There you go. Now we can drop the opacity if you want to. Place it somewhere there. That looks pretty nice. Again, if I want, in this case I can change the blend mode to overlay, but in this case I actually feel this is fine, and this may even look better. We can duplicate this object and place it also right here. So our two cards are done, and if you want, we can still make some changes to this if you want to. Let's just go ahead and finally group everything. So that's also done, and I do think I'm gonna have to adjust this because I think the letters are too small. I think they need to be adjusted a little bit, but we'll get to that. I think I'm going to begin putting everything together. So what I want to do is make a rectangle, or a square I mean, a perfectly symmetrical square, and we'll raise the opacity to 100. Let's give it this dark blue color. Let's just bring in our text and emblem, place it right on top, raise it up to the top. And what I want to do is, I think the text is pretty much good as it is. I think this position is looking pretty good. Next, I want to click on the text, Control D, and give that a black color. Let's lower that one step and then lower it. So I'm just going to zoom in right here. We need to lower this about that much, maybe a bit more. Let's give that a blur. That's too much. Maybe like of about that much. Or somewhere there, I don't know. A blur of about that much, and let's lower the opacity to 65% or somewhere there. And then from there, I think that let's bring in the cards. So let's raise them up to the top, and let's just rotate this like this. Place this one right on top. Let's rotate that one like that. Something like this. One thing I want to do is click on this card, duplicate it, give that a black fill color. Also make the stroke black. And let's drop the stroke style. So it's not changing the stroke color actually. Somewhere there, okay, that looks pretty good. And let's lower that. Let's move that to the left and up. And let's just give that a little bit of a blur. And drop the opacity to 70%. Select them both and then Control G. And let's just place it right here. Let's just see how it looks. So let's just raise it up. Looks okay. Doesn't look that good, but I think it makes the design look much more complete. So I'm just gonna do something like this. And I want to bring in the crown. Let's raise it up all the way. And let's just scale it down to about that much. Maybe a little bit more. I think that about there, or right about there, looks pretty good. I'll place it like right here. Lower this one step, and I'll just place it right here. And then what I want to do is to make it look like it is going around this object. I want to ungroup it, and then I want to simply select over the full crown. So I want to select the crown, all the objects in the crown, and hold Shift, deselect this brown object. And then I want to do Control G, group them together. I'll take the top copy, right, so just this, and I will duplicate that, and there you go. One more thing I want to do is make another copy of this object, give that a black color. I want to ungroup this, click on these objects, delete them, and then I want to take this object as well as this object, give that the same black stroke, and then group them together. Let's lower this one step, and just lower this like this. Let's blur this. Let's blur it a lot. And let's drop the opacity to 66, roughly, somewhere there. And that looks much better. And let's just go ahead and bring in our tokens. Let's scale this down. And this one can remain the same size, and I will just scale this one down as well. So we'll scale this down to that size. That is already looking way better and quite good. And then from there, I want to take this object. I want to select this boundary right here, and I want to duplicate that object, and I want to blur that. Let's lower that. Let's just lower it all the way, and then raise it one step. And I want it right there. And then I just want to make copies of it and do the same thing. So let's give that more blur. And then let's make one more copy. Let's lower it all the way, raise it one step, and let's give that even more blur. And I think that looks pretty good. And from there, I think the only thing that is left is some final touches and the background. So let's just go and do the final touches, the sparkles and all that first. To do that, I'm going to click right here on the polygons tool, and let's select the star option. With 6 corners, I'm going to set the spoke ratio to a very low number. So the lowest number right here. Hold Ctrl and Shift. Let's make this star or this object. Let's increase the spoke ratio to 0. Let's go with like 0.025. And let's just scale this down. And let's give it this color. Let's remove its stroke. Actually, I think we need to have more. We need this thicker. Let's increase the spoke ratio to 0.35 or maybe even 0.055. I think that is good. Let's also raise the opacity. And I'm just going to place this in the area that is like really bright. So I'm just going to place it right about here. Right here. I'm imagining this right there. Inkscape is super slow right now. Let's make a circle with the same color, of course. Let's scale this down to about that size. Raise it up. Let's blur that a lot. Change the blend mode to screen. And change the blend mode of this object also to screen. And then let's blur this to 10%. Yeah, I think 10% should do the job. And then if you want, you can simply group both of these objects. Actually, I want to make the circle a bit bigger and blur it more. And then if you want, you can select both of these objects, Ctrl G them, scale them up if you want. Like that. And then we can just make a copy of it. Maybe I can place one right here. And then we can just simply make another copy of that. Place one like right here. And we can make another copy. This one we can place like right here somewhere. I guess that looks pretty good. That's pretty nice. And pretty much the only thing we have to do now is to make the background. So let's just go ahead and do that. I'm just going to move up right here in this empty space. Let's make a rectangle. Then I'll give it the same, this dark blue color. Actually, I'm going to give it, not this, I'm going to give it this blue color. So this one. And then I want to make a perfectly symmetrical circle like this. And what we want to do is click on this object, right click and copy that to the clipboard. And then click on the circle. And let's come over to the Path Effects menu and apply the rotate, the pattern along path. Perfect. From the pattern copies, you want to change this from the drop down to repeated stretched. And then let's increase the spacing. Actually, the reason it looks so weird is because we need to also do this. Link to path in clipboard. And there you go. Let's increase the spacing. Let's just scale this down. Scale it down a little bit more. And let's make this less tall. Actually, no, I do want this pretty tall. I need to increase the spacing to like 50. And I need to reduce the width. And again, let's just drop the width. Let's lower the width quite a bit, like this, and then increase the spacing again. So let's go to a value of like 70 or 75, maybe even 90. I think that looks pretty good. I think that obviously the center looks really bad, but that's okay because this will be hidden, so we don't care about that. I think that should do it. What we can also do is make the rectangle even thinner. Ooh, I like this more. I will say that I like this more. I can drop the spacing a bit now as well. Maybe I can go to 70 now. I think so that this will do the job. So I'll just select that and do a path and object to path. And I can move this in right here. I can lower this one step. I can pretty much lower this all the way and raise it one step. And let's just lower this or scale this down to about that much. Let's just center this on the vertical and horizontal axis like this. And then I want to apply a radial gradient to this. So let's just go ahead and do that. I'll select the center stop and I'll give it this blue color. And I'll select this stop. And this is completely transparent, which is what I want. I guess I'll make the center stop a little bit brighter because this is not bright enough. I'll give it that color. Yeah, I think that looks much better. And yeah, I think that looks pretty good. I think so that looks pretty good. And so that's it for this video. If you like this video, you may also like one of my other videos. That's it. Thank you for watching.